Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today we're looking at box number 47. We're going to start off with Darkstar and go through, we're going to do Dazzler and some DC stuff and end up with DC Comics Presents, which is always a good time. So, thanks so much for being here. Please like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it when you do those things. If there's a package of comics that you'd like to see what was inside the comics instead of just the first and the back, let me know and I'll put something together for you. So, with that, all that said, let's get going with box 47. All right, here we go with Darkstar and the Winter Guard, three-issue series featuring the Soviet superheroes right there. Sometimes referred to as the Soviet superheroes, but I don't know that that's a timely name anymore. So they become the Winter Guard, and that's issue 3 of that. Then we get to the Darkstars series. This was put out by DC. This was kind of a competitor to Green Lanterns and the Green Lantern Corps, an offshoot of the Guardians of the Universe. Create their own interplanetary corps of policemen, and one of them comes to Earth and starts recruiting some deputies and stuff as he tracks down a villain here on Earth. So that's issue 0, part of 0 Hour. But the actual series starts with issue 1. Right here, Travis Charest art on these covers and interior at first. So this is, but again, issue 1, heavily Will Sportasio influenced, I think. That runs through issue 8. He's got a very interesting style, and I don't know what it is that's so interesting about it. There's nothing I can put my finger on. There's a little bit of an uncanny valley there, but I can't quite figure out what it is. But there's issue 8. We've got issue 9, Interclash. You hate it when you're just walking around and Clash shows up. Issue 16. Vast difference in the chain and the art style. Randy Duburk doing covers. Not a fan, but that's okay. He doesn't mind. Right there. Number 17. Or Randy Duburk on the cover there. Issue 17. Issue 20, teaming up with Wally West, as you do. Here we go, switching over to Mike Deodato Jr. on covers, much better in my mind. Right there, issue 21. We have the part of the 0 Hour crossover, which is probably where the 0 issue would be next. Evan Sewer showing up because time is all over the place. Got Donna Troy, who had lost her powers and was no longer Wonder Girl, becomes a Darkstar so that she can still be heroing. 25 right there. John Stewart, who also lost his Green Lantern ring, becomes a Darkstar, so he too can continue to superhero and try to stay relevant. Issue Darkstars 25. Issue 32. Donna as Darkstar has joined the Titans again, along with Supergirl, and they're teaming up with Deathstroke, as they tend to do sometimes in this particular storyline. But by 33, we've jumped back to the main guy, whose name escapes me at the moment. But in issue 33, Mugla was his, his slang term for dudes. And 33, a little homage cover, summing up everything that had happened in the series. Right there. And that so ends the Darkstars series. That concept didn't hang around much. You didn't really see much of that one. Alright, now for something completely different. We have Dark Web. The teaming up of Chasm, the Ben Reilly, Peter Parker's clone, and Madeline Pryor, Jean Grey's clone. So, clone on clone goodness there. That's issue 1. And there were some, I think I may have cheated a little. I think there's some one-shots or two-part series. So this is actually the second issue of the Dark Web Ms. Marvel series right there. Or they just stuck together. Maybe, I don't know. There was also a Dark Web X-Men miniseries. There, issue 1. Bill Noto doing covers. And there's issue 3. Havoc, of course, having had a on again, off again with Madeline Pryor, which is crazy because she is identical and is a clone of his brother's girlfriend. So take with that what you will. So the Wolverine series changed titles for a bit at one point and became Dark Wolverine. And this is while Daken, his son, is impersonating Wolverine. So that's what those issues get filed here as Dark Wolverine. It's issue 75, issue 79. Greg Land doing his Greg Land thing right there. Issue 79. Issue 80. There. Say what you will about Greg Land tracing, but at least by doing that, his babies don't look creepy, because a lot of artists try to draw babies and it just does not come out well. So, issue 80. And, okay. And then issue 84. Continuing that through the Siege crossover. And 85. There. With Daken, clearly, I don't know if I can't remember if he was actually wearing the mask, wearing a disguise, or that's just figurative. He's stripping away. He's been pretending to be Logan. Anyway, 85, and that rolls through 90, which is the final issue of Dark Wolverine. Dark Wolverine. If you got Dark out Wolverine, you got Dark X-Men right there. Came out during, I forget what was going on during this time. But you got this guy so this is after all the after the No More Mutants, after they got reduced down to 198, because all that mutant energy got infused into this guy, who I think was a new Weapon Omega or something like that. And then, of course, yes, because Cable takes in the baby named Hope, and and she is supposed to be able to the one that brings back the mutants, whatever, stuff like that. So that's Dark X-Men 1, and that runs through Dark X-Men 5 with the X-Man showing up, Nate Gray. We have another Dark X-Men series from during the kind of the Krakoa period, or towards the end of it, with again with Madeline Pryor and Havoc doing some stuff right there, and that runs through issue 5. I think Madeline's demonic side gets separated from her or some stuff like that. I don't know. Tying into that first series, we have Dark X-Men Utopia. This leads into that Utopia crossover between the Dark Avengers and the X-Men. Right there. That's issue 1 and issue 3. Right there. Norman Osborn, Emma Frost. Deals are being made. And during Dark X-Men, somebody confessed something. And so here we have Dark X-Men, the confession. This is where that confession gets made. I can't remember what they were confessing. Got Daughters of the Dragon. 6 issues of goodness with Misty Knight. And, oh shoot. And her. Have doing their best mercenary stuff right there. That starts with issue 1 and ends with issue 6 there. Try to remember to put that in the video. Daydreamers. So this was a fun little series pulling together the Man-Thing and the kids from X Factor and Howard the Duck and Franklin Richards, and they all go on an adventure. So there you go. If you like little kids going on adventures, Daydreamers is the series for you. There's issue 3 right there. Day of Judgment, Marvel or DC, Jeff Johns writing a kind of a think that the Spectre goes out of control and the DC heroes have to find a way to get him back under control. Artist Matt Smith, not Doctor Who actor Matt Smith, and that's issue 1. And okay, so this was a series where the previously deceased Hal Jordan becomes the new Spectre. So there you go. So he can make up for what he did when he was Parallax. So there you go, issue 5 of that. We've got a few bits of information on the backstory of some of the things happening in Day of Judgment, Secret Files and Origin, and a very unfortunate fingerprint on this book. Oh well. There you go. Tony Harris art. And if it's not a Day of Judgment, it's going to be a Day of Vengeance. All right. So this is years later, part of the Infinite Crisis. Infinite Crisis had several mini-series that led into it. And this one was, again, involving the magical side of things. Bill Willingham writing. Spectre going up against Blackbriar Thorn. Blackbriar Thorn's interesting. He was just like a one-off villain in an issue. Actually, we'll probably look at it in this video of DC Comics Presents. and you would have thought he would have just never been seen again. But he caught everybody's eye, and he keeps showing up for magical related DC things. That's issue 1. Issue 6. I believe that coming out of this, we're going to get the Shadowpact series, which is the team that these characters form. And they get a one-shot as well, right there with Madame Xanadu. Right there, Bill Walt Simonson doing that cover right there. Then we get to the character find of the 70s, Dazzler. There's a lot to be said about Dazzler. She's a mutant. She was introduced over in the X-Men. Behind the scenes, apparently there was going to be some kind of crossover with actual music, and an actual singer was going to be the Dazzler, and so forth and so on. And the first 3 issues of this were originally going to be in a bigger graphic novel, and it didn't pan out. This also was the first the first series that Marvel did that was direct and newsstand or something like that, because I mean I have newsstand editions, so, or maybe it started off as direct only, but there's a reason there's no barcode, because it was direct only, at least at first. So that's Dazzler number 1. And buried in here is Dazzler number 3 with Dazzler versus Dr. Doom, which as of this recording is like a hot book. And it's just because somebody made a joke about, hey, Taylor Swift is going to play Dazzler in a movie, and she's going to fight Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, and everybody freaked out and are buying that cover. But it's actually, just a joke. It's not, nobody knows that. But anyway, issue 5, Blue Shield, guest starring in issue 5. I think this is his first issue, and he doesn't really show up much after that. The dude with a force field. What do you want? Issue 5. Issue 6, Dazzler and her band having to deal with the Hulk. That's not something one wants to have to do, and but she holds her own. We jump to issue 9. Hey, who's that guy? That guy is Marvel Boy, who will soon be Quasar, or maybe he's already Quasar. He's guest starring in this issue 9, because he's like the security guy in Project Pegasus, which was a scientific, kind of like Star Labs at DC, kind of the where all the scientists gather. That's issue 9. Issue 10. If you got a good character like Dazzler, you might as well throw some real menaces at her. So yes, she goes up against Galactus, as you will. Whole storyline about her becoming his herald, and she says no, and he says okay. From Galactus, she goes on to fight the Grapplers, female wrestlers. Of note, this is Screaming Mimi, and Screaming Mimi would go on to become Songbird in the Thunderbolts. So there you go, issue 13. Issue 14, Dazzler teaming up with the Blue Shield again to fight She-Hulk this time, since the fight with regular Hulk went so well. So she's going to deal with She-Hulk this time. She-Hulk's still in her white torn-up dress mode. She's 17. We get a little more soap opera-y coming up, kind of, sort of. So Dazzler begins dating the Angel from the X-Men, but they're going to have to deal with Dr. Octopus right there. Issue 18, Dazzler going up against the Absorbing Man, cover by Bill Sienkiewicz. There. Of course, I didn't mention Dazzler is a mutant who turns sound into light. So she keeps her radio in her bag and she cranks up the radio, and then she is able to charge herself up from that sound and then shoot it out as bursts of light, if there's anybody who had never heard of the Dazzler. Dazzler 22, so we've got Dazzler and Angel going up against a Rogue. And this is early Rogue, when they really hadn't figured out what they were doing with her. So she was kind of an older, you know, looking very confident, mean chick. It wouldn't be until later that Chris Claremont would bring her into the X-Men and have her be more vulnerable and younger and that kind of thing. So, Rogue appearance in issue 22 of Dazzler. Issue 23, Dazzler versus Flame. Okay. Good for you, Flame. Issue 26. Here. Got the cool Kaluta, no, Joe Jusko cover for Dazzler 26. And Dazzler has a sister who's also a mutant, and her powers are out of control, and she kind of dissolves people. So, right there, that's issue 26. We get into some Bill Sienkiewicz doing the height of Bill Sienkiewicz art deco or artsy stuff. So if you know, like we would see in New Mutants. So here we've got Dazzler 27 right there, Bill Sienkiewicz. Got issue 29. I guess that's a photo, but that's a painting with the cover of Dazzler's album being held up during issue 30. It's Assistant Editors Month, so the premise is for that month on all the Marvel books, the regular editors are gone, the assistant editors take over, and hilarity ensues. And in this one, Dazzler is on her way to San Diego for a singing thing or whatever, and she catches a ride with Ralph Macchio, not the actor, but the editor in the real world of the Dazzler comic book. So there you go. That's issue 30. Issue 33 is a very popular issue. Dazzler meets an equivalent to Michael Jackson and is a dancer in his Thriller copy, which is Chiller. Dazzler imprisoned, I think, by the Tatterdemalion, if I remember correctly. Tapping on the wrong thing, got to tap on the screen. With some other supermodels, because he wants a girlfriend. I don't know, I can't remember why he was capturing them. Issue 34. Issue 38, right around this time, it shifted heavily into more superhero-y stuff. Jackson Geis doing the cover here. Rest in peace. The Wolverine and Colossus testing Dazzler to see if she's worthy to become an X-Man, so by fighting her, and I don't remember who wins, but she doesn't become a full-time X-Man. I know that. There. 39. Going up against one of many big dudes named Death Grip. This dude and his dog, his wolf, become supporting characters for a bit. Right there. And then we go to 42, I think, with Paul Chadwick and Sienkiewicz on art on the cover. Somewhere in here was the Beauty and the Beast 4-issue series that we talked that we looked at alphabetically speaking in a previous box, and so Beast and Dazzler have kind of a special relationship, and but not as special enough to keep this from being the final issue. Right there. And there were some one-shots that I don't actually have. I need to get that, but the next series with the name Dazzler is just from very recently, and so here is the Terry Dodson cover for that, issue 1, and here this is a variant cover for issue 4 of that. And then I think technically this book has a Dazzler : something something, even though it just says Dazzler. I'd have to look at, or maybe it's just out of order. I could be wrong. I could just have it out of order. But this is a Dazzler one-shot from a few years back. Can't be too old. It's got bonus digital content. Alright, so all you DC fans, we are about to begin things starting with DC, and alphabetically speaking, you don't get much more early than DC All-In Special from a couple of years ago. This series launches the Justice League Unlimited, and is the first appearance of the Absolute characters, Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, etc. So this is the death of Darkseid and all kinds of stuff like that going on in here. Recent thing, going from something very, very recent to going way back. DC Challenge. So this was during the 80s, and the premise here was each issue of this 12-issue series would be written by a different writer, and they would set up a situation, and they would end on a cliffhanger, and then the whole thing would be handed off to another writer who had to figure out how to get out of that cliffhanger, and then move the story to different characters, and leave them on a cliffhanger, and he would hang it on to the next group, and so forth and so on, and then they all would come together at the end to sort of try to make an actual story out of the whole thing. So, and it did kind of fall apart towards the end, and they did have to get like all of the writers together to go, okay, what are we going to do here for the last issue? But this is issue 1, written by Mark Evanier, drawn by Gene Colan, and it's got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, all the goodies. Got issue 4, written by Paul Levitz, with art by Gil Kane and Klaus Janson, right there. Issue 4. Make sure you can see that good. Yeah. And, issue 5 is beautiful. Dave Gibbons from Watchmen and many, many other things, doing this cover with Shazam and Dr. Fate and Uncle Sam. Great looking cover. Mike W. Barr doing the writing on that. We've got Gary Conway coming on to write this issue. Rick Hoberg doing the writing, doing the art. Blackhawks and Light Ray in the same book. What else could you ask for? Issue 8. Got Roy Thomas coming in for issue 9, and Don Heck, perhaps not everybody's favorite, but he met his deadlines. Let's just leave it at that. Geoforce, Son of Vulcan, the Charlton character that doesn't get used much, right there. And the whole thing ends with issue 12 with Jerry Ordway doing the cover. Lots of people, as I said, getting together to figure out how the heck this is going to work. Even on the artist side, they kind of had to pull in a lot of artists, or maybe they just did that for fun. But it was a bit of a cluster. So, but you know, fun stuff. Lots of DC characters. I have got DC Classics, The Batman Adventures, number 4, and my copy happens to be signed by Kevin Conroy. So there you go. I got that at a convention a few years ago. Rest in peace again. It's issue 4. I don't have a full series of this one. I do happen to have issue 5 right there. That. I just have this first issue of DC Comics Bombshells. Got it off. This was started off, it's one of those things where it starts off as just an idea for a set of variant covers, and then they actually go back and make a story around it. And this was kind of a post-war, or I don't know what you want to call it, or is it the 20s? I don't know. Bombshells, you know, I don't know, dropping bombs. They're war, you know, World War II era. All the heroes are female. Thing, I don't know how to describe it, but that was just the first issue. And as you can see, we have these alternate versions of the characters. All right, now we get to one of DC's classic series, DC Comics Presents. Each issue featured Superman teaming up with another DC hero. I believe it came out around about the time of the movie, you know, so they were pumping up, trying to get another Superman book out there. The first issue is actually, I think, the only two-parter. There's issue 1, teaming up with the Flash. And I don't know why, but issue 2 is, people are paying a little bit more for that. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez on art. There. Superman and Flash versus aliens. We've got issue 3. There's a lot of books, I guess either this month or the month before, that had an ad showing this cover. So even if you didn't own it, you know, you were familiar with the cover. Right there. Adam Strange helping Superman fight this guy with the antennae on his helmet. Issue 5, Superman and Aquaman going up against Ocean Master. Issue 6, Superman and Green Lantern going up against, I don't even know who they're going up against. In that one, issue 6, issue, this would be 8, Superman and Swamp Thing going up against Solomon Grundy. Solomon Grundy, say, I don't like Swamp Thing. Sorry, I just always remember that from the cartoon. But, so which is, you know, that's a pretty cool matchup. I think this might be the first time somebody realized, hey, they're both swamp creatures, basically. We've got Superman and Wonder Woman, which of course, you know, she had her TV show out roughly around the same time the movie's coming out. So this is a big time media tie-in on issue 9, and they're fighting a giant ice creature. We've got issue 11, Superman and Hawkman teaming up, doing their thing. In issue 12, Superman and Mr. Miracle, the escape artist, one of the new gods, having their going at each other at first. Of course, you know they'll team up at the end. Issue 15, Superman and the Atom. Ow! I've been clobbered with the hardest object that giant alien could find. Superman. Okay, that's a lot to say. Joe Staton art on that. Superman swings over to the other part of Metropolis and teams up with Black Lightning here in issue 16, going up against an energy creature. Issue 18, Superman gets some magical power. Satana loses their powers, and Superman gains magical powers. So he's like, I gotta fly, because I'm Superman. And zoom, this is how I fly now. Issue 18. Issue 19, Superman and Batgirl teaming up against some guy with a bird face. Horus, 19. Issue 22, this one showed up in a lot of ads as well. Superman and Captain Comet, an actual mutant. Hey, DC has mutants too. And his powers seem to be going out of control. Issue 22. Issue 23, Superman and Dr. Fate. Now, unlike some of the Brave and the Bold stuff, they always acknowledged Earth 1, Earth 2, and so if Superman was going to team up with an Earth 2 hero, then they would acknowledge that somebody had to travel across universes and stuff. That's 23. We have issue 25, Superman and the Phantom Stranger. John Ross being the son of Pete Ross. And we've got these backups started that we're taking older DC heroes and giving us an update on whatever happened to them. Most of these written by writer Bob Rozakis. That's issue 25. If you know your comics, you know what's coming next. One of my Pride and Joy, issue 26. So a Rock'em Sock'em team up of Green Lantern and Superman, and oh yeah, this new Teen Titans happens to have a preview in here as well. So this is actually the first appearance of Starfire, Cyborg, and Raven in that preview. That's a big boy book right there. I don't think this is my original copy because I think I read my original copy to death. So this is another one I've picked up at some point over the years. Let's make sure I stay in order. There's another big boy book I gotta not miss. 27. So there was actually kind of a multi-parter going on here with a Superman teaming up with different people for 3 or 4 issues, but it was all one plot kind of moving through. And issue 27 here is the first appearance of Mongul as Superman teams up with the Manhunter from Mars, John Johns. And whatever happened to Kongorilla? 28. Continuing the fight with Mongul and his war world. This time Superman calling in cousin Kara to help out. And whatever happened to Johnny Thunder Lawman? Right there. So very early Mongul and war world. Issue 28. We jumped to 32. Lois Lane and Steve Trevor are like, what the? And so this is Eros is causing some problems here. There. Okay. Oh, here's a pretty one. 33. Superman and Shazam. Not the first meeting, but this was kind of an awesome thing. They wake up one morning and all of a sudden, Superman's got he's got Shazam's costume on underneath his clothes, and when Shazam says his word, he transforms into a Superman, and it's hilarity ensues. And they have to get that all straightened out. I think this is also maybe kind of a two-parter. This first part is him, you know, just teaming up with Captain Marvel, and then the next issue, he's teaming up with the whole Marvel family. Issue 33, 36. Jim Starlin taking us back out into the cosmos as he does, bringing back the cosmic Starman character that we had met over in Adventure Comics. See my earlier video on that, and they're going up against Mongul, who is nothing like Thanos, and they are. I've always liked that suit. I mean, even though there's not a lot of detail there, that's just I don't know why. That's just a cool suit. It's issue 36. Also, also not Captain Marvel at all. Okay, anyway. 37. Superman teams up with Hawk Girl. And in the back we find out whatever happened to Rip Hunter, Time Master. DC Comics presents 40. Superman teams up with Metamorpho. And we find out whatever happened to the original Airwave. I mean, these were great. If you were just into DC and all their different heroes, and you wanted to learn more about them. Now, they did somewhat got Airwave having a kid Airwave, even though the original Airwave should have been on Earth too. So they did bungle that a little bit. Sometimes when it came to kids, you know, the originals having children who showed up on Earth 1. But anyway, Superman and Joker teaming up to fight the Prankster, if I remember correctly. And they do a little preview of Roy Thomas and Gene Colan's new run that's coming out on Wonder Woman. Not renumbering, because that's not something we did back then. But they did want to make sure we all knew that, you know, for everybody that wasn't reading Wonder Woman, to know what they were about to start doing over there. So they had a preview in here as well. It's 41, 43. Superman teaming up with the Legion of Superheroes from the future, who ought to know how this battle comes out because they're from the future. Brian Bolland doing cover on that. Full, no backup in this issue. 43. 44. Superman teaming up with the Dial H for Hero kids. Again, characters that we would see over in Adventure Comics in their own feature, where individuals could send in their own ideas for superheroes, and these two kids would turn into those superheroes just temporarily and have adventures. So that's issue 44. Issue 46 is kind of an interesting issue. Over in the Super Friends comic, which was an adaptation of the cartoon, they introduced a lot of international heroes, but the canonicity of the Super Friends comic is somewhat in doubt. So this was arguably the more canon first appearance of Green Fury, who would become Fire, as in Fire and Ice, from the Justice League International, and some of Jack-O-Lantern would be seen again. So these international global guardians, heroes of the world, right there. Then we got another big boy book, issue 47. Superman meets the Masters of the Universe. Gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. Is this before or after the inserts in all the books? I think it was, I can't remember. But I believe this is the first appearance. This must be first because it's a big deal. This is the first appearance of He-Man in comic books and Skeletor and whatnot. So there you go. That's another big boy book. Superman teaming up with Aquaman in issue 48 of DC Comics Presents. And whatever happened to the Black Pirate, right? Because DC used to have all of these little features, you know, in all their old anthology books, and so many different heroes from the past. So there was plenty of characters to choose from to tell stories of whatever happened to them. Issue 48, issue 50, Superman teams up with Clark Kent somehow. And they have to fight the Atomic Skull right there. So that's the celebration of issue 50 as Superman is teaming up with himself. Issue 51, for some reason people are paying a little more for. Okay, well there's the 16-page comic preview. So yes, that makes perfect sense. The Masters of the Universe thing came before the inserts. But anyway, that's issue 51 right there, teaming up with the Atom. Again, I don't know why people are paying more for this issue. We've got issue 52 right there. Negative Woman, her negative self is out of control. Superman and the Doom Patrol. This is the new Doom Patrol, better than the old Doom Patrol. In issue 52, somewhere in there is the first appearance of Ambush Bug, if I recall correctly. Maybe this might be this issue as well. Issue 52. Issue 56, Superman and Power Girl, which I liked this. I mean, because you didn't see them. That made perfect sense because he's more her age, you know, or closer to, rather than her cousin, who was her much older version of Superman. So they have an adventure together, and this would be this guy would be the villain here. Would get called back in a future issue. That's issue 56. Superman gets thrown to the far, far future of 1986, and will hang out with the Atomic Knights, which is of course a old DC Comics series that had run. Issue 57 there. Issue 60, Superman teams up with the Guardians. The Green Lanterns are out of control, so he's got to go punch them all in the face to bring them back to their senses. There. Oh, here's some sweetness. Superman and OMAC, one-man Army Corps. George Perez. You can tell by the rubble. It's George Perez, OMAC, fighting a robot at 2 times. I guess the same robot at different times. And once in the now and once in the future, something like that. Issue 61. And speaking of dystopian futures, Superman teaming up with Kamandi, the Gil Kane cover, traveling to Kamandi's time and hanging out with him right there at 64. Issue 65. Superman and Madame Xanadu. The guy from the Power Girl team up comes back. Superman needs to rely on the magic of Madame Xanadu to fight him. Grey Morrow had a very realistic kind of style, so that was actually very cool artwork that he puts forth in here. 65. 68. I believe this would be the second appearance of Vixen right there in Superman and DC Comics Presents 68. She first appeared over in an issue of Action Comics because her original, what would have been her first appearance, got canceled in the great DC implosion. So Superman's teaming up with her here. Superman traveling back to the past and teaming up with the Blackhawks to protect this guy and get him where he needs to be. Right there. And then Superman and the Phantom Stranger go up against the Joker. I remember the Joker, gaining incredible powers during this, and then can't handle it, just can't figure out his imagination, can't get the best of him. She's 72. Issue 73, the Superman and the Flash. This is actually acknowledging some stuff going on over in the Flash book. Flash has killed the Reverse Flash, and he's on trial, and he's kind of on the run. And Superman is here to bring him in, and that kind of thing. And Flash convinces him, "I didn't do it." So things happen there. Issue 76. DC Comics presents Superman teaming up with Wonder Woman again. Right there. Eduardo Barreto artwork on that. Right, so this was a fun one. Over in Action Comics, we had met the Forgotten Heroes, and this was some of those. If you go, some of those heroes that we might have seen in those Whatever Happened To stories, banding together, and little-known DC heroes: Dolphin, Congorillo, Animal Man, and Superman here is teaming up with them, fighting some of the DC's forgotten villains there. And that's that was actually the next book will be Superman and the Forgotten Villains, and so interesting stuff. 77. Here in 79, Superman once again teaming up with himself as Clark Kent in some way, getting split apart. Superman 80, Superman teaming up with the highly popular at the time Legion of Superheroes, and it'd be cool if he could have teamed up with himself as Superboy, and the Legion. Anyway, issue 80. Issue 83, Superman and with Batman and the Outsiders. Cool Jim Aparo art there. Aparo was doing the Batman and the Outsiders series at the time. DC lures Jack Kirby back long enough to do a cover and I think the story for issue 84 of DC Comics Presents, having Superman and the Challengers of the Unknown. And unlike in the 70s when Jack Kirby drew Superman, they didn't have somebody come in and redraw the face. They actually left Jack Kirby's Superman face on there, so that was nice. That's 84. Then we get to the Crisis on Infinite Earths, and so things are happening, and the cosmos is in tumult, and this villain Black Star that we've met over in the Supergirl book is causing getting these two to fight each other. That is issue. I just said it. 86. Next, we have a fairly big book, 87. So this is the first appearance of Superboy Prime. He is supposedly from our world, a world where there are no superheroes and they only exist in comic books. And he happens to be named Clark Kent and kind of gets picked on about it because, but it turns out he really is from a version of Krypton. And when he becomes a teenager, he figures out that he has powers, and he really only figures this out long enough to meet Superman and to go into the Crisis. And I think it was originally supposed to be a way of just having a Superboy there, since obviously Superman at the time, Superboy was Superman as a boy, so I think they were just trying to get a version of Superboy into the storyline since he had, been such a big part of DC's history. So that's DC Comics Presents 87. Of course, that character would later turn sour, if you will, after Infinite Crisis. 88, Superman and the Creeper Still very weird storyline with Keith Giffen doing the art, basically during the red skies of the crisis going on. Issue 91. So the crisis is over. In theory, John Byrne is rebooting Superman, but that hasn't happened yet. And so there's this very weird period of time where you just don't know how these stories are supposed to fit in, but a lot of entertaining stuff. Superman and Captain Comet in issue 91. Superman teaming up with Vigilante in issue 92. Adrian Chase is seen in the Arrow series there, and also as seen in Peacemaker, of course. What am I saying? And Super 94, Superman teaming up with Harbinger, Lady Quark, and Pariah, who were big parts of the Crisis story, and got George Perez back to do the cover on that one. There. We've got issue 95, Superman teaming up with Hawkman. The reason that's funny is just because both of them, their history, are going to get rebooted. So this is like a double reboot kind of situation in issue 95. And finally, issue 97 is it's very similar to the Whatever Happened to the Man of Steel. This is Steve Gerber coming in and telling a tale of the end of the Phantom Zone criminals, and a lot of kind of a very dark story, actually. People die. A lot of death. Lots of death. Alright, so then that series had some annuals. And issue 1 was Superman teaming up with the Golden Age Superman, so Earth 2 Superman, with his different S and stuff. And they were fighting the two Luthors, with the Earth 2 Luthor being the one that still had his hair. So that happens in Annual 1. That was a great... I think Ultraman from Earth 3 gets pulled into this. And I think this is maybe another issue. One of these annuals is also where we first meet Alexander Luthor, who was the good guy Luthor from Earth 3. And then issue 4, we have Superman teaming up with Superwoman, who was had been seen in, where did we first meet her? I can't remember, but she's Kristen Wells, and she actually first appeared in a novel, in the Miracle Monday novel, Superman Miracle Monday by Elliot S. Magan. She is a teacher from the future who comes to the present, and I think it's in annual number 3, she comes and she's like, I've got to find out who Superwoman is, and it turns out that she is Superwoman. She just didn't, that she was the person who was destined to become Superwoman. Anyway, and there's a big convention of Lex Luthor fans who all shave their heads, and hilarity ensues. So, and that is all of this box. All right, so that was 47. Next time, we'll get into box 48. We're going to continue with series that start with DC Comics. We will go through basically everything. We'll start with DC this, DC that, ending with DC Universe. And so we'll get lots of one-shots and things like that. So glad that you were joined me for this video, and I hope you'll be here for the next one, and I hope you have a great day.